Episode 139. Put your best face forward. Welcome to Gratitude Geek, the relationship marketing podcast, helping micropreneurs find your micro influencer magic. I'm your host, Candice Rodarty, and this week I'm joined by photographer Deb Davis. Deb is Detroit's premier headshot specialist. Her goal as your photographer is to connect and engage with you in order to bring out your very best so you can showcase your personality and skill. Welcome, Deb.
Thank you, Candice, and thank you for having me today.
You know, something that most folks don't do very well is have their picture taken. So I can't wait to have that conversation. But before we dig into it, tell us your unique story. How'd you get to where you are?
Well, my unique story, it's a long story, but I'm going to cut it a little, take some little shortcuts. I've always had a camera in my hand as long as I can remember. I was always the one in my family that was taking photos of special events, birthdays, all kind of stuff. Everyone knew that if they needed a photo, they was going to come to me. So how did that start? It started with not actually the second part of it kind of started because I always loved creating memories. Okay. And my father passed away when I was 10 years old. And I never had a photo of my dad. So I've been on this long search, still searching, never was able to find a photo of my dad. And if as you get older, you start thinking about that. And it's like you have that face engraved in your mind. But as you get older, the mind starts to fade. And if you only have just what you can remember, it's not as good as tangible photos that you can, take a look at. I mean, even when people suffer dementia or Alzheimer's, they can look at an image and it kind of jogs their memory. That's just how important photos are. So I never wanted anyone to have that feeling of not being able to have that memory of someone as special as their dad. And that was my drive for becoming a photographer. And I just don't think people should not create those memories. And I just love bringing out the best of people and creating those very special moments.
You have a very valid point there about having a something tangible so that you can remember someone's face. My mom's father died when she was 3-4 years old, and she had one photo. She remembers seeing one photo of her in Korea. You celebrate your 100th birthday.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not your 100th birthday, your 100-day birthday. So 100 days after you're born, you have a celebration. So she remembers seeing a photo of her sitting on his lap when she was 100 days old. But she does not know what happened to that. She's passed away about 10 years ago, but she didn't know what happened to that photo. So she only had a memory of the photo. She didn't have a memory of him because at 3, I mean, she was 3 when he passed away.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can, and I have a huge regret that I don't know what he looked like.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
It's special. Especially key people like that. People nowadays, they don't even do the prints. And I know I'm probably going down the road, but it is still so important to print your images.
That's why. Okay. So the show doesn't have a sponsor, but the podcast, the hosting and all that good stuff for the podcast is paid for by the income that I receive as a SendOutCards affiliate. And SendOutCards, for those of you listening in the audience who don't know, it's a greeting card and gift app, and you can send pictures of people on a greeting card in the mail. It's printed, it's just stamped and mailed for you. And I can't tell you how often somebody will tell me, wow, first of all, I can't believe you sent me a birthday card. Nobody ever sends birthday cards. I get that one, number one. But number 2 is, I'm so glad you sent me that picture of my dad. I don't have a printed copy of it, and now I can put it on my refrigerator, and I see it every time I open my fridge. So, that printed thing is really important. And it's just it's just this little tiny thing, takes me 30 seconds to do, and it makes someone's day. So if you're
Oh,
interested in
yeah.
learning more about Send Out Cards, check the show notes, gratitudegeek.com, episode 139. There'll be a link in the show notes. I don't normally talk about sponsorship on this site, but on this
But it's
podcast.
important because we're talking about images today. And just the other day, you sent me a card of my granddaughter. You saw her on Facebook and you printed that of her very first day of first grade.
Let's
How
clarify.
important is that?
I didn't print it. I took it off of
You
Facebook or
took it up.
Instagram and I put it I used an app, put it on the front of a card, and
Right.
somebody else printed it and mailed it to you.
Exactly. Okay. But I'm just saying,
Yeah, but
you know what
it
I'm
was.
saying?
I mean, that little memory, you should, if you cared enough to share that picture with the world, don't you want it on the refrigerator?
Exactly.
I completely forgot I had done that.
But that was that special touch.
Yeah.
My oldest granddaughter, I'll never forget her very first day of first grade.
Yeah, by the time your youngest granddaughter goes to first grade, you're not going to care. Okay, speaking of caring, I want to talk about your superpowers because in the 139 episodes that I have recorded, I do not think that anyone has ever shared with me their superpowers as their pitch to be a guest on my show. So you did. So let's talk about your superpowers. What are they and why are they important to you?
Oh, well, my biggest superpower is that I'm full of love. I love people. And I think I put creatures and things. I just love everybody. I love things. I love animals, except for cats. But anyway, I honestly am full of love. That is my superpower, has always been. Um, Even growing up, it was like, how does anyone have that much love? Nobody's always smiling all the time. Nobody's always happy like that. And it was just something that I knew that was a part of me even when I was a little girl, because there was nothing that nobody can do, no wrong that nobody can do that was that bad that I would still care and love them regardless. And sometimes it gets me in trouble, but it's just a part of who I am. And that is my biggest superpower, that I can just love you until you get tired of me.
All right, before we go on to your next superpower, I want you I was almost offended when you said that you don't like cats because I'm a cat person. And then it occurred to me that cats give absolutely no F's whether or not you like them or not.
Oh, yeah.
So cats don't care if you like them. So it doesn't matter if you don't.
Okay. And I have to be careful when I say that, because there's a lot of people that are cat people. I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm just terrified. I would love to get over that fear. It's not that I don't like them. It's just that I'm terrified of them.
You've never had one sit in your lap and purr.
No.
Yeah.
And that is one of the fears that I do want to overcome.
You know, I actually know
did want to
someone.
clarify.
I know
scared.
someone who might be able to help you get over that phobia. Oh, if you want the referral. Okay, now that we've gotten your okay, superpowers. What are your other superpowers? I love this topic.
I have a gentle nature. I'm kind, and I'm very easygoing. I'm very, very easygoing. I can get along with everybody. I don't even know too many people that I can't get along with. And the only reason that, if it does happen where it's like, you know what, we're not getting along, it's not me. It's the other person that does not want to even just deal with me at all. So I feel like I'm a very caring and a very nurturing person. I love caring and taking care of people, seeing about people. I think that is just, and all of that encompasses love, and just, I'm very mild mannered. I'm not like a loud in your face type person sometimes. Yeah, I can be. I can be. But I just think, Candace, it takes so much more energy to frown than to smile. So it's just human nature for me to just always have a smile on my face.
It does take more muscles to frown than smile. However, a lot of us, and I think I'm one of them, have trained our faces to frown. I'm sorry, but I do. I frown. I grimace a lot. I think that we have trained our muscles to frown, but it's actually less muscles to smile. You just have to train those muscles. You have to train your muscles. I agree with your superpowers, and I love your superpowers. And if you were a superhero, what would you call yourself?
Always says superwoman.
Superwoman.
Superwoman. Why? Because I I I've like I have 6 grandchildren and I try to do everything for them. So um even taking care of my husband, taking care of the things that I need to do, and then taking care and helping with the 6 grandchildren. I want to be that superwoman because people say, always tell me, you're not superwoman. You can't do it all. Why can't I do it all? I am superwoman. I can do it all.
You can. You know what I like about Superwoman is her lasso of truth. Like she can
Mhm.
get the truth out of anybody. Because
Exactly.
there's so many people who lie right now. And what's really sad about today in 2022, it's September 2022, is that there's so many people who lie. And
Mm,
I don't even know if they know they're lying because they believe a truth that's not, they believe a lie that they think is a truth.
yeah.
It's there's so much of that going on right now. It's this, I don't want to talk about politics, but it's my show. I can talk about politics. I am just so afraid that 1940 is going to repeat itself. I'm just
Oh
so afraid of that,
gosh. Yeah.
is it's just things are ugly right now.
Hmm.
But we don't have to talk about politics. Hey, let's talk about something exciting for a minute. I have a story. this
What's your
is
story?
this is a marketing tip, and I love that this is just going to be a conversation. This podcast is going to be really fun. It's
Yes.
just going to be a conversation. So I have a problem with email. I'm a hoarder and I'm a clutterer. I'm not a hoarder, but I do have a lot of clutter, and especially had a lot of clutter in my email inbox. And I tried to
Hmm.
organize it by putting different things in different folders and then creating rules so that the emails go directly to a folder. What
Hmm.
happened was that emails started to get lost in the
Yeah.
folders. So today I deleted all of my email rules. I took all of the messages out of the folders and put them in the inbox. And I started going through them, and I have deleted over 250 emails so far today.
Oh
I am
wow.
so proud of myself.
Now, how many accounts is that? Over 200 emails. Like,
um, I have all of my emails, regardless of how many email accounts I have, they all funnel into one account. So
right.
it's one. Well, my Gmail account is separate from I have one email account, and then I have a Gmail account that doesn't get anything except junk, right? So the
Okay.
Gmail account just gets junk, so I don't count. I hardly ever even look at it, and when I do, I just delete everything in it. There's never anything in there that matters, right?
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so yeah, I have one inbox, but there are several email addresses that funnel into that
Yeah.
one inbox.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I need your help. You deleted over 200 emails today. You wouldn't even believe how many emails I have. I don't, I'm too embarrassed to even say.
Oh, and that's I just said I deleted 200. That doesn't tell you how many I
Okay.
actually
That
have
don't mean how
left.
many. Okay. Well, that's a great start. 200 emails in one day. That is amazing.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about you have an email problem. I have an email problem. Why do you think we have so
Hmm.
many emails today? This is a marketing podcast, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people think that email is a marketing tool. As a photographer, how do you feel about email?
Uh, I still rely on emails, but more so like in campaigns, more so. So I wouldn't like, um, I don't really read a lot of emails. I don't send a lot of emails either, but when I do send them, I like them more like the MailChimps, the campaign style like that. Those seem to be more attractive than just a regular email. I think I'm almost getting away from email. I read them if I have to read them. Um, But as a photographer, I pretty much just do it like in a campaign or social media post and stuff like that. So I'm not a huge
So
email.
you're not sending like one-off emails to people. You're just sending out campaigns using MailChimp.
Yes.
And then you use social media. So how do you talk
And
to
I use
people? How do you like talk to clients if it's not email?
via my website or phone.
Okay, so via your website, is that comes in through your email, doesn't it?
It comes in through my CRM, which is my 17 hats. So it
Oh,
comes directly into my client base management. And then I communicate. Well, and you can still say it's an email, but I communicate straight from there.
okay.
Um,
Okay.
and those are automated.
Yeah. And so I have the same kind of system with HoneyBook where
Yes,
the
same
forms on my
thing.
website come in through
Hmm.
HoneyBook and then I communicate through HoneyBook with people. Um,
Yes,
but I do get email notifications when those come through. But
exactly.
I also get
And I
text
get them on
messages.
text messages. Those are the ones I mostly rely
Hmm.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. Yeah. And you know, I really email is a necessary evil because it's the way that most people communicate these days. I mean, when was the last time you actually wrote a letter and mailed it?
Oh wow.
You know, it's
Yeah.
I actually got a letter from my attorney to let me know she moved. It was an actual letter in an envelope.
Wow, wow. Now that is great. That's
Yeah,
great. I
that
mean,
was
because
yesterday.
sometimes it's still nice to get the letters, but I was listening to a report the other day and they were saying that people are more apt to look at a text message now versus an email. But then I got to thinking, like, how do you send a campaign via a text message? That would, to me, would be kind of overbearing to
There
receive
are
that.
I am on several people's texting lists. And yeah, you just mass send, you send a
Hmm.
text message. And when you're texting, you have to keep them short, right? Short and sweet. So
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
I think I had two of them this morning that I deleted. I just deleted them. I don't, you know, sorry, Mary Kay. I only need Mary Kay when I need Mary Kay. I don't need it every time you send me a text message. And I know they're automated, right? Because
Yes.
you can tell they're automated. But
You
yeah,
can tell they're
there are
automated.
several different software programs that will do that for you.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and none of them are ever free. Like MailChimp
Hmm.
is free, right?
Yes.
MailChimp's free.
Yes. MailChimp is free.
All the texting services
Hmm.
are paid. So if you want to
Right.
go to the texting platform, you got to be ready to pay.
Yeah.
And I actually don't have a problem with paying for marketing. I just don't think texting is the way that I should market, right?
Right. And that's what I was saying too. I don't think text is a way that I would market for as, in my business either.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that that's a great way to market
For
for
what you
me.
do. But
Right.
for the Mary Kay chick and a couple of the other things that I get, I do understand.
Hmm.
I mean, my vet, my cat's
Yeah.
vet sends me text
Yeah.
messages. You know, though that's
Hmm.
fine. But
Yeah.
for, you know, as a business coach, I don't want to be I'm going to text all day long with my clients. And like
Hmm.
I'm sure you text all day long with your clients. But as a
Yes.
business coach, I don't think that's the way I want to sell my services
Exactly. And
through
that's what I was saying. Yeah.
through mass texting, like
Hmm.
bulk text. I'm not talking about one-off text messages. I'm talking about campaign style texting. I don't think
Right.
that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't imagine sending out a full campaign in a text message.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But some of the, you know, usually they're like, don't forget today's event, or it's, you know, usually
Hmm.
those kinds of text messages are short and sweet and they're just
Yeah,
a
like the
reminder.
reminders. Exactly. Like I'll have like a headshot blitz every now and then. And then all of the clients that book me, I will send out like a mass group text message. Meet me here. This is the location. Here's your time, and something like that. It's just a quick reminder.
But that's a reminder. It's not a
Yes,
sales,
it's not a
it's not a
exactly
sales message.
right. Hmm.
So I mean, you know, listener, this is a really good time for the listeners to get involved. Listener, if you have an opinion about that, about marketing via text message, I would love for you to leave a comment in the show notes. Gratitudegeek.com, episode 139. Because I'd love to hear other people's thoughts on this, especially
Hmm.
people who are not photographers and not business coaches. It's interesting. It's interesting. Okay, speaking of
Yeah.
photography. Speaking of photography. Oh wait, well let's go back. Let's go back to that you retired. So you
Yes.
retired from your career, and now
Right.
you created a dream job for yourself. Do you know
Yeah.
how many people want to do that? And what are you, 35? So you did it really young.
Oh, thank you so much, Candace. Yes.
You're welcome. So I mean, you're relatively young. So you retired
Mhm.
young and you created a dream job for yourself. So talk to me about that.
Yes. I retired in 2018, so wasn't really in the plans, but it happened, and I'm so grateful that it did because it allowed me to have that free time and the opportunity to do what I really, really love to do. And a year before retiring, I kind of set myself up because I knew that I was going to be retiring. And it is like been the best thing ever. It's called like my second half, if you will. So I love what I do. I do it on my own terms and I don't have no clock I gotta go punch. And it's just a dream. Like you said, it's a dream job. I get a chance to um like I say, photograph people. I love photography and I love people. And putting both of those together is just like a dream come true for me.
I want to dig into your niche because your niche is headshots
Mhm.
and they're not shuffle and scoots.
No, step and repeat.
Step and repeats. Headshots and step and repeats. So a step and repeat is like a red carpet event where people are walking down the red carpet and you snap them when they stop for a photo op, right?
Yes.
So that is a niche. I mean,
Yes.
you don't do weddings, you don't do bar mitzvahs, you don't do any of that. You do corporate events and headshots.
Yes.
So
I do
and I love.
headshots.
Go ahead.
I do headshots, portraits, and personal branding
And personal
and
branding.
corporate events.
All
Yes.
right. So by personal branding, you mean personal branding photographs.
Yes. So exactly. So someone comes to me for a headshot. All of that's basically is your personal branding, depending on what people are coming for, whether you're coming to update your website, um, rebrand your social media or rebrand yourself. You're using those images, whether it's your personal headshot, and then we do like corporate portraits and stuff like that. All of that is a part of your branding package.
I'll talk about that for a little bit. I'll push
Mhm.
back because with branding, your personal brand is your personality, in
Yes.
my opinion. So
Mhm.
it's my funky pink wig. It's the way the way I make people feel like we've known each other forever. I mean, to
Right.
me, my superpower, if you ask me what my superpower is that if you're having a conversation with me, and then we don't see each other for 10 years and we start talking to each other again, you're going to say to me, I feel like I just saw you yesterday. Like, I don't feel like it's
Mm.
been 10 years since I've seen you.
Okay.
That's really simple to just pick up where we left off. Um,
Nice.
or that when you first meet me, you feel like you've known me for years. I just make people
Yeah.
feel comfortable, right?
Yeah. That no,
That's my
that's true.
superpower. And I don't know what to
Okay.
call, I don't know what to call that superpower. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't, yeah, I don't know, but that is my superpower. So that's my brand. My
Mm-hmm.
brand is that chick who makes you
Right.
feel comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
even if we just met.
Right.
With the
Right.
funky pink wig, although I'm not wearing it today, with the funky pink
Mm-hmm.
wig, who
I
just is
love the
out
pink
there,
wig.
who just is out there telling it like it is.
Yes.
Another part of my personal branding is that I don't sugarcoat anything. I just tell it like it is. Sometimes if I if I can't tell it like it is, rather than sugarcoating, I just don't say
Mm-hmm.
anything, right? But if I feel like I can't just say what it is, then I just don't
Yes.
say anything at all.
So what I'm saying is you that brings out your personality, who you are. So we would basically have a conversation before your session. I would definitely make sure you say, make sure to tell you to bring your pink wig. Okay. Because I am definitely going to get those images that's going to portray exactly who you are.
So
And
you're photographing the personal brand.
exactly.
Okay. All right.
Exactly.
All right. I thought you were talking about marketing, which is a completely different animal.
No. Yeah, that's a no.
And there may be some people out there who are going to say that Candace doesn't know what she's talking about with personal branding. That's not what personal branding is. But I think that your personal brand is your personality and the way you make people feel. I think that's what your
Yes.
personal brand
I
is.
mean, I think that's key, the way you make people feel.
And your branding is your
Mhm.
colors and your fonts and the types of photographs that you use in your marketing and all that good stuff.
Mhm.
Did I say colors? Your colors, your fonts, and
Yes.
your photographs, and just that airy fairy feel that you have. That's your branding. Your personal branding is the way people feel about you and how you make people
Mhm.
feel. All right. Okay, we're on the same page. Okay, then I agree with you. Okay, so when you're photographing that person, how do you help them to put their best face forward? Because people hate having their picture taken. So
Mhm.
how do you help them put their best face forward?
Well, I am a brand strategist and a personal coach when it comes to getting you to get in front of my camera and to bring out that personality and to help you put your best face forward. So it's all with how you make a person feel. First of all, you got to be comfortable. You got to know who I am, make you, feel comfortable when you get in front of my camera. We're having conversations. I'm always finding out things about you before you actually even come through my door. So I already know some of the things that you like based on us having a conversation. So I'm going to make sure that you feel at home when you come in front of my studio, because my main thing is I don't want you to be all worried and stressed out about getting in front of the camera. So my job is to help you to forget that you're even in front of a camera. And that comes through conversations, um, making you laugh, and coaching you, basically making sure that you're getting the right angles and making sure that you got your neck out so we're not getting that extra skin up under your chin. I'll put it that way, the double chin. But all of those things help you to get the best image, and it makes you feel more comfortable when you can come into my studio and you're already, half of the battle is feeling comfortable and feeling like, okay, I could breathe. I could be who I am. This is just Deb, just like we're having a conversation right now, but we're having it where you're on the other side of my camera. We're just talking. We're just like, okay, Candace, turn this way, push your chin out, stand up straight, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, so if you aren't there to coach someone, how does let's say that my sister-in-law is taking my photo,
Mhm.
right? And you aren't there to coach me. If you were a little birdie or you were like a little grasshopper sitting on my shoulder, what would you tell me to do so that I look my best in that photo?
Um, the One of the biggest things is make sure you're standing up straight. And when you're standing up straight, you always want to, as a woman, I think a man too, but definitely as a woman, you always want to put your weight always on that back leg. So if you're standing quarter length, kind of like you're standing right now, that back leg on that shoulder there, that's where all of your weight want to be. And you want to kind of tilt your front feet up just a little bit, because all of the weight goes to your back, which makes your front looks more slender. And it's about the angles. So it all depends on the person. And then I would say always make sure you always just turn your nose to the camera or to the light. Always to the light.
Turn your nose to the light.
Mm-hmm.
What if the light's on?
So it depends on how where they're taken. So if my light is here, I'm going to tell you to turn your nose to, and then put your chin down. Yeah, push your forehead out.
Because the light's right there.
Yeah. So
Wait,
so
hold
the
on.
biggest
Wait on
thing,
the back foot. Nose
right?
to the
There you
light.
go.
Chin
See, that's
out.
a great angle. Chin down just a little bit. But there you go. Look at that
Wait, hold on.
light.
I should look at you, shouldn't I?
Yes, look at that. Of course, I'm gonna say and look at my camera. So for sure. But it's just coaching and making sure that you're getting that the best angles for that person. Everybody's going to be different. I don't think there's no two people that are the same, but the photographer needs to be able to see what they see because you can't see you. So if I'm on the other side of photographing you, and always take pictures on different sides of the face just to make sure that I'm getting the best side for the person. There's a lot of people coming to me and say, this is the best side. And I'm like, okay, let's take a picture on the other side. And I find out that that's really not your best side, but that's your best side. So,
Yeah, isn't it crazy that everybody has an asymmetrical face? Like nobody's face except for Denzel Washington. He's the only person in the world whose face is symmetrical. But then everybody has an asymmetrical face. And what I think it is Denzel Washington. But one of the reasons why Denzel Washington is so attractive is because he really does have a symmetrical face. And so and I can't remember where I learned this or whatever, but if you take a picture of somebody straight on and then you cut the face in half and then you take half of the face and you flip it, people look really different than what they really look because your face is so, like, I have a crooked jaw, so half of my face is different than the other half just because my teeth aren't aligned right. So I have more chin on one side than the other, right? But if you cut my face in half and you flip over the other half, I'm going to look different than how I really look, except for Denzel Washington, whose face is has perfect symmetry. I'm pretty sure it's Denzel Washington who has the perfect face. I'm pretty sure. And I don't mean that in terms of appearance. I mean that in terms of his face is perfectly symmetrical.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got it.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he is a very attractive man. I'm not saying that he's not attractive. I'm saying that if you look at his face and you flip one side of his face on top of the other side of the face, it's symmetrical. And that there aren't a lot of people in the world who are that perfect. Wow, that was kind of a backwards compliment. He's a very attractive man. So Washington is a very attractive man.
He's very attractive.
I did it. I totally dug a grave with that one.
Where you're coming out.
Oh God. Personal branding. So do you have any other tips for people when they're having their photo taken? If you're not the photographer?
If I'm not the photographer, listen to the person that's taking the photo because they see what they see when they're taking the photo. But so often people want to direct they want to do all the directing themselves. And they're not the ones that's actually taking the photo, even if it's a cell phone photo. And if I'm in front of you and I'm like, Candace, look this way, I'm seeing something different than what you're seeing because I'm the actually one that's taking the photo. So I'm seeing the light that I want to see when I take your image, or I'm seeing the pose that I want. You're just the one that's posing, but you're not actually seeing it on the other side of the lens. So I would say be open, be flexible, follow directions, and just trust the person that's taking your image.
Yeah. Trust the photographer is a professional, trust them.
Yes.
Absolutely. So what if the photographer is not a professional? Like you've asked a stranger to take your photo. Like you're at an amusement park and you want to take a picture with your family and you ask a stranger to take your photo. What would be a safe thing to ask the stranger to do to make the photo turn out well? Did I stump you?
That's a good one. That's a good one. If it's a stranger, most times, and I think about this because I've had strangers just take my image. I kind of already know what I want to do, the way I want to stand and where I want to stand. Although I may not, obviously I'm not going to see what they see, but I'll just handle my phone and just say, can you snap this photo for me? And then you're gonna have to get what you get.
So basically, if you
You
ask a
gotta take
stranger,
what you get.
if you ask a stranger, if you bring a mouse a cookie, you gotta deal with the consequences of the cookie. Right?
Exactly. It's like, okay, I'm just asking you to take my photo. And it's happened so many times. And more than likely, you pretty much just want that image. You just want that image. It doesn't have to be perfect. And a lot of times it's a cell phone photo. It could be a special place or you're with someone special that you just want someone to take that photo. And I think I don't think there's been any issues where I was like, oh no, you didn't take this photo right, retake it.
You know what? I think that's your personality, your loving personality is just accept it. Accept it.
I don't think I'm gonna critique a stranger and be like, you didn't do this.
That's hilarious. So last night, my husband and I went to watch the sunset at the beach because we live, the beach is just a hop, skip, and jump. So we hopped in the car. We drove down to the beach to watch the sunset. We grabbed our lawn. We have these lawn chairs that we keep in the back of the car. We dropped our lawn chairs on the sand and we watched the sunset. And right after we got there, a woman and a little dog showed up. And so she was just out of the corner of my eye and she was laying in the sand with a little dog and she had her cell phone and she was taking selfies of herself. I swear she spent 5 minutes trying to figure out the right angle to get the sunset and the dog in the picture.
Yeah. I think some of the selfies that you do, you take a long time trying to figure out that right angle and the right light for
your
the
arm
selfie.
is only a certain your arms are short and she's holding the camera trying to get the dog, the sunset, and her in the photo. And personally, I would have stood up for that because she was laying on the sand because then you could get more in the photo, right? More right. But
so that you didn't offer to go over and take the image for her?
Okay, first of all, I didn't want to embarrass her.
Okay. Okay.
Because she was spending some time.
Yeah. Because you know what people do, sometimes people, they will see you taking a selfie and especially if you're out on your vacation or whatever, that has happened a lot of times. They'll be like, oh, you want me to
I do that. I do that all the time. I offer to take people's photos all the time. I even did it I was at a nursery. There's a really cute nursery on the west side of I don't live in Texas anymore. On the west side of Michigan over here, that it's a destination nursery. It's the kind of nursery where you get in your car and you drive to it. You have to make a day of it. It's one of those. It's huge. It's like the size of 2 football fields. I don't remember the name of it though. And they've got these statues of bears throughout the place. And there was a couple of kids that were taking a selfie in front of a bear. And I walked by him and I said, hey, want me to take your photo? And I snapped it for him. And then they were like, we love your hair. Because of course I was wearing my pink wig. But yeah, I do that all the time. I do that all the time.
I have to get a photo of you with the pink wig.
we have to actually see each other in person.
Yes.
Yeah. We talk to each other. So Deb and I actually see each other every week. We're in the same networking group. Actually, we probably see each other twice a week, but only on Zoom.
Oh, right. Right.
So, yeah, I'll have to get over to that side of town, or you have to come over here to the beach.
Yeah, that's what I said. We may have to. Oh, I would love to come to the beach.
Yeah, come to the beach.
That's a great invitation.
This is the best time.
We need to do that before the weather really gets bad.
I was going to say this is the best time to come to West Michigan because all the tourists have gone home, and it's still warm enough to enjoy the beach, and the sun sets at the right look. Because in the winter, the sun sets in the winter on the Lake Michigan, the huge lake that's as big as an ocean. The sunsets in the winter are the best because the way the sun reflects on the ice is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh,
but the sunsets in the fall are also nice. Okay. I'm not as big of a fan of the sunsets in the summer. I don't think there is. I think the angle of the sun isn't quite right, but in the winter, holy moly, the sunsets are gorgeous.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Anyway, what were we talking about?
Selfies.
Oh, that's right. So, is there a selfie protocol? I mean, not selfie protocol, but because with coronavirus, people may not want you to touch their phone anymore. But is there a time where it's not appropriate to offer to take that photo? Because I didn't think it was appropriate to take the photo of the woman taking the selfie laying on the
yesterday.
Beach. Yeah,
I think there is. I think there is. And you will know it. Like I don't think she would have probably been receptive to you coming over, like come in and
Yeah.
take my
She would have been
photo, you know.
embarrassed.
So
Yeah.
I think you kind of know.
Yeah.
Um,
Just your
but
instinct.
I'm not a really big fan of selfies, but even though I've been taking some lately because I just needed some of myself. But
Yeah. Well, what about
yeah,
selfie sticks? How do you feel about selfie sticks?
do they still have those?
Oh yeah. I have one in my car. Never use it, but it's in my car. I think the last
Do
time
they
I used
still
it,
sell those?
yeah. Oh yeah, you can get them on Amazon. But I have one in my car because we went to Nantucket and I had it in the car for Nantucket and that was last October. So it's been in my car since last October, which means it hasn't been used since last October. But we
Wow.
were on Nantucket and I wanted pictures of my husband and I. And I don't know if you know this or not, but nobody is on Nantucket in October. They've all gone home, right? So there was nobody to take our picture. you know? So yeah, I had the selfie
Okay.
stick, but I can't remember why I got the selfie stick. I don't remember why I bought it,
Hmm.
but I haven't used it in over a year. So obviously, I guess the answer to selfie sticks is no.
I think that would be safe to say.
Okay. I'm gonna know what your answer is, and I know you don't do weddings, but how do you feel about people using their cell phone to take pictures during a wedding?
I used to do weddings, and actually, 2 years ago, I was a second shooter um, at a wedding. And we, as photographers, have this like rule, especially at weddings, that we kind of set the protocol um, before we actually start the wedding. But always going to be there's always going to be one that gets in your way when you're trying to get the shot with the cell phone. My thing, listeners, is if someone hires a professional photographer, let the professional photographer do their job. I understand that people are so excited, they just want the pictures instantaneously, that they just want them right there on their phones. But it is so nerve-wracking when the photographer is trying to get an image and then someone steps right in their way with a cell phone. I can't even tell you how many images that we got of trying to get the bride and the groom, and then you got the other person in the image as well because they're in the way. So I'm not an expert, but um my personal feeling about that is that's just, it's don't do it.
All right, listener, here's the deal. We're just gonna give you a piece of advice here. The next time you go to a wedding, leave your cell phone in your purse or your pocket during the ceremony and let the
Mhm.
professionals do their job during the ceremony. If you want a copy of a picture during the ceremony, you'll be able to get your hands on one of those later. But go
Yes.
ahead and take pictures during the party, right?
Right. I think that's great advice. Yes. Yes. That's great advice.
Yeah, because those
So,
pictures during the party, the bride and groom aren't going to know what you guys are doing. They're
yeah.
because they're worried about their own crap. They've got their own stuff going on, and if you share those pictures of the party, the
Yeah.
reception
Mm-hmm.
later with the bride and groom, they're going to be like, "Oh, I'm so glad people had fun at my wedding, right? At my
Mm-hmm.
reception."
Right.
But if you take a whole bunch of pictures during the ceremony and you taking pictures with your cell phone end up in every single shot of the wedding ceremony, the bride
Mm-hmm.
and groom are going to hate you forever.
Right.
So, lifelong friendship, undying appreciation versus I never want to speak to this person again. I'm certainly never inviting them to a wedding again.
Right. I agree. I really agree.
I
There is a protocol for
yeah,
that. I just yeah.
I love it. Okay, so you talked about how you're not really a fan of email. You like to use MailChimp and you do social media, but do you have a
Mm-hmm.
favorite marketing tip, like a top marketing tip? How do you meet new people?
Most of my people come through referrals. I meet new people that way. A lot of people I meet just at networking events that I go to. Um, okay, I would say if someone introduces you to someone And this just happened because for some reason, I don't know, the voicemail didn't come through on my phone. Someone sent me a referral. The voicemail came through 4 days later. And yeah, it was like 4 days later. It was crazy. And I called the person back. The person needed, some assistance on something. It wasn't a headshot, but it was something else. And I was like, "Oh, did you get the help that you needed?" And it was like, "Yeah, I got the help that I needed. I really wanted you to do it, but I needed it done that day." So the one of the things that I think would be really crucial is when someone sends you a referral or someone introduces you to someone, follow up, and follow up.
Well, the person who gave your phone number to the potential client who left the voicemail probably
Yeah,
did you a disservice by not doing some sort of
letting me
personal,
know.
yeah, some sort of personal introduction. Like, I know you hate that email, or even a text message, like a person, like it. One of the things that I like to do, this is my hot tip, is if I want Deb to meet Fred, I'm going to
Mhm.
send Deb and Fred a joint email or joint text message or joint Facebook message or joint Instagram message, or joint LinkedIn message,
Yeah.
whatever platform is that the three of us are all on together, right? I'm going to
Hmm.
send a joint message and I'm going to say, Fred, I want you to meet Deb. I know you were looking for a corporate photographer to do that your company's doing new name badges and you need photos taken of your whole crew.
Hmm.
Deb is the perfect person for that for you. And then Deb, Fred works at such and such, and enjoy the connection. And then you're
Yeah.
expecting to hear from Fred.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then
And
the
I think
message,
I learned that from you. That's a really great tip because you're connecting all three of you are in that email or text or whatever it is. And you each got that touch point. And then more than likely, I'm gonna say, "Thank you, Candace, for introducing me to Fred. Fred, I'm available to talk or let's connect whenever you're available." You know, so you got that touch point right there. Because nowadays, I'm telling you, the way phones are, you're not always going to get your voicemail. I know
I, I
AT&T was
yeah,
down. I'm not trying to bash AT&T, but they were down like in my area for like
yeah,
the last 5 days, a couple weeks ago. So,
yeah.
and it was crazy.
I don't always get my voicemail messages, and sometimes,
Yeah.
so you on your phone you see that you have a missed call. Well, I'll check my
Hmm.
voicemail and there'll be four messages, and I'll check my missed calls, and I'm like, there are no missed calls from any of these people. Why are there voicemail
Exactly.
messages?
Yep. I do the same
So
thing. I get the
that
same thing.
I am so tempted to turn off the voicemail on my cell phone. Just turn it off so that people can't leave me
Mm,
a message, because then they're forced to send me a text message or an email if they really
yeah.
want to get a hold of
Oh,
me.
now that's a great point. That's a good marketing tip, Candace.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm tempted to do it. I don't know if it's a good
Yeah,
idea, but I'm
if
tempted to
it's a
do
good
it
idea, right?
because there have been times where it's been a week or longer that I didn't know I had a voicemail message.
Yep. And that's exactly what I was saying. So, I mean, this person needed a job done and wasn't able to get to the person, but thankfully there was someone else there that was able to do it for her. So,
And you
but
never really miss text messages.
yeah,
You
that's
don't,
true.
I
You're
because
you're
those are
not
there.
gonna
They're
miss
there the
text
next time you
messages.
look at your text messages. It's going to be there. But
Exactly.
obviously, missed calls aren't.
Yeah.
Call logs aren't. Okay, so we've talked about your superpowers. We've talked about how you retired early and created a dream job for yourself. We gave some hot tips for making sure you look great on camera. You talked about your top marketing tip, which is really belly to belly follow up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that for you, your best marketing is networking, and me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I
Networking.
mean, the people that I'm if
Networking.
and networking doesn't necessarily mean joining a networking group, although I'm a huge fan of networking groups. But some of my strongest network came from Toastmasters, which is a public speaking
Mm.
group. And I haven't been in a Toastmasters chapter in 8 years, eight
Hmm.
years or so. But a couple days ago, I talked to somebody that I met in Toastmasters on the phone. We were actually, I think we hopped on Zoom together, because she's a
Okay.
client, right? 8 years, we met 8 years ago, and now she's a client, right?
Wow.
so
Yeah.
so you just if you join organizations that are along the theme of something that you love, I know you're really involved in your church. That's your network. You have your church network.
Exactly.
You have your business network. You have your volunteer network. I know that you're also really involved in the Michigan Photography Association. Talk about that for a little bit.
Yes, it's Professional Photographers of Michigan, and I'm actually the vice president this go around. And it's a wonderful organization where all photographers come together for all things photography, education. We do classes, we do retreats. We got a retreat that's coming up the end of this month that's going to be in Grand Rapids, which is really nice. We do one-day classes, workshops, all things like that, where all photographers get together and network.
So some people might think, oh, you're networking with your competition. Is that true?
It's not, I mean, it depends on how you look at it. It's a group of people that get together, and we all have one thing in common, which is photography. So we all get together and we do business together. I mean, when I say we do business together, business practices, we're coming together to talk about how to do photography better. We're having training classes where we're finding out how to work our lights and our cameras better, how to work our equipment better, how to market, how to sell, how to do customer service. So it's pretty much we're all coming together for one common thing, and that's how to be better photographers so that we can go out in our own individual businesses and do business better for ourselves.
So have you ever had a collaboration come about from this?
Yeah, there's another headshot photographer that's in the group that we're doing things together. We haven't completely done it, but we're talking about doing it. So yeah, I mean, you meet different people where you're doing the same things, where you might partner together and do different projects together. I don't think it's more so, we don't look at it more like we're with our competition. We're helping one another.
Well, let's go back to that fake story about Fred, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fred had a company and he needed new name badges for his employees. So he needed headshots of all of his staff. Mm-hmm. Let's say he has 200 people who work for him. Right. That you would be snapping photos all day long all by yourself. So that would be a great opportunity for you to ask somebody to be that second shooter to come in and help you with that.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we do. And then there's other photographers that maybe they may get a client and they're not available that day. You got that whole networking group, a group of photographers that you've been, with all year long. It's like, Deb, are you available on the 15th of September? I got a job, but I'm booked. Can you do it?
I always wonder why people don't network with other people who do the same thing they do. Because imagine if you're a real estate agent, mm-hmm. right? And you get your first $1 million listing, right? Who would be the best person to help you find a buyer for that listing? It's the real estate agents who have the clients who are looking for $1 million house.
Exactly.
So networking with other real estate agents and saying, hey, I got this listing, got a buyer?
Mm-hmm.
And especially if you let them know before it goes on MLS. I mean, I just can't, I don't understand people who don't see the value of networking with other people who do the same thing you do. I recently did like a half-day workshop for business coaches. We were put in small groups. So it was a group of 4 of us. And we, it's kind of a mastermind kind of thing, like a half-a-day mastermind thing. And, you think, okay, it's 3 other coaches, right? With 3 other coaches. Well, guess what? One of them was a coach that helps step parents learn how to be better step parents. Mm-hmm. One of them is a coach who helps people who are transitioning out of working for for the man to having their own business. Right. Another one, the other coach actually coaches businesses on how to. So he does workshops on how to work with assholes. Can you imagine selling that workshop to a business? Because you're basically selling that workshop to the asshole. Right?
Right. Right.
So none of us crossed paths at all. We didn't go over each other. We didn't We were so different from each other, but we had a really good interaction with each other. And it was time well spent for me because I learned a lot that day. And I got different perspectives, and I had no idea that you could give workshops on how to work for an asshole. I had no idea you could do that. Which is the number one reason why people quit their jobs. Right? Okay. So we need to wrap up. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you want to answer?
No, I think, you know what, this has been really, really good. I did want to say I used to do events and all of that. I used to do a whole lot of different photography. And during the pandemic, it was my opportunity to kind of really hone in what my really main passion was. And that is headshots. And my advice would be, to other photographers is to kind of find what really makes you smile, what really makes you happy, because we can't be a jack of trades of all things. We're not good in everything. So when I get people that come to me and say, do you do weddings? I'm not a wedding photographer and I'm not a family photographer. It takes a very special skill to be a wedding and a family photographer and to shoot newborns. Just because you're a photographer don't mean that you're good in everything. So that's why I have no problem when people come to me with referring out people that I know do good as wedding photographers, family photographers.
Well, I'm sure because you are the vice president of the Michigan Photographers Association. Sorry, I lost the name already.
Yeah, it's Professional Photographers of Michigan.
but because you're the VP of that organization, it's probably really easy for you to refer that to somebody else.
Exactly.
So I don't shoot newborns. However, I know somebody where do you live? I know the perfect person who's really close to you.
Exactly. And my whole point in that is do what makes you happy. Find out that very special targeted thing that makes you happy. And because I like working one-on-one with people, headshots is the best thing for me. So.
And that's good advice no matter what your career is. Photographer, whatever, no matter what you do, find your perfect niche. And the narrower your niche, the better. Headshots is a really narrow niche.
Yes.
And look at how happy Deb is. You are one. So, all right. Okay, this is my favorite part of the interview. For whom or what are you most grateful? This is your moment of gratitude.
Whom and what am I most grateful? I gotta say, my son. I have one son. My son will be 43 years old in October. And he just having him, and I of course had him at a young age because I'm just young myself. But anyway,
you're 38. Didn't we just say that you're 38 like an hour ago? We said you were 38. If
I said that, then I couldn't have
you were -5
son, right?
when you gave birth to him. Okay, -5. All right.
Okay. But he was my reasoning for everything. The reason why I am who I am today is because of him. Just even, like I say, having him at a young age, my drive for not want to just be mediocre came from having a son at a young age. And I always pushed myself because I always wanted to show him that no matter where you are in life, no matter what life has dealt you, no matter your circumstances, that you can always push forward and be the best you that you can be, no matter what. So he's the driving force of why I am and who I am, why I am today.
Thanks for joining us this week for Gratitude Geek, the relationship marketing podcast, helping micropreneurs find your micro influencer magic. Your time is valuable, and I am ever so grateful that you chose to spend your time with us today. Be sure to check the show notes at gratitudegeek.com, episode 139, for links to all the groovy resources mentioned today, and of course, to connect with Deb Davis. And while you're there, why not subscribe to the show on Audible, iTunes, Stitcher, or any of your favorite podcast players. Our theme music is track 14 by Rev Brock and Soul Lily. I've been your host, Candice Rodardi. Join me on my mission to spread gratitude, sow seeds of appreciation, and harvest a bounty of generosity and kindness. Stay groovy, my friends.
Stay groovy, my friends.